Welcome to Run, Build, Grow, the podcast that laces up its running shoes and dives deep into the heartbeat of the communal spirit of running. I'm your host, Andrew Ware, the Runnin' Rep, and I'm thrilled to take you on this exhilarating journey where we explore stories that go beyond the pavement. We are back with another episode. I know I had a week off last week. I just didn't have a guest that I could get edited in time. But here, this episode, I have on Alex Diltz from the Boulder, Colorado running community. But as you will hear in this episode, it goes so much further than Boulder. And we get down and have conversations around inclusivity in the running community and what that can look like, especially for queer individuals. And Alex is right there at the forefront, helping out with groups like Outrun, who are helping to bring this thought, this awareness to the running community, that we all deserve to be a part of it, that we are all equal, welcoming, inclusive, bringing this space in the running community. And so this is just an amazing conversation that I so loved having.
But before we get into it, I'd like to shout out my partnership with Lucky Road Run Shop. Are you ready to run strong and feel great doing it? At Lucky Road Run Shop, they specialize in making every runner, walker, and fitness enthusiast get that perfect fit. Their trained staff takes the time to analyze your gait, your stride, and match you with the right shoe, because the right fit changes everything. With top brands like Ultra, Asics, Brooks, Hoka, Mizuno, New Balance, On, Saucony, Topo, they carry the best gear to keep you moving comfortably mile after mile. Visit one of their Central Virginia locations and check them out at luckyroadrunshop.com, because every step should feel like a lucky one. Lucky Road Run Shop, where the journey begins.
And so without any further ado, let's jump into this episode with Alex Diltz. All right, welcome in, everybody. Today I'm joined by Alex Diltz. Alex, how you doing today?
Pretty good, thank you. How about you?
Doing well. And, you just, as you hopped on, you said you had a race this morning. How you feeling? How's the body feeling?
Yeah, body's feeling pretty good. Again, like it was a 7K race, a very odd distance, but yeah. I'm racing an 8K in Chicago in 2 weeks. So this was like a kind of like ripping the Band-Aid of the season to get the legs moving for this 8K race. But yeah, body felt good. Great weather. The first one of the season is kind of hard because you're just like, I haven't run a race since October of last year. So,
yep.
A couple of months of just like base training and like easy running. So, it was a shock to the system, but it was really fun.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near the level you are, but I also have not raced since like the middle of September last year.
Okay.
And have my first race coming up next week. So that should be interesting. We'll see how well it goes. But I mean, Alex joins us from the Boulder running community, just massive and, all varying different degrees. And so Before we dive in, where I love to start every episode, and listeners know this, Alex, what is your community, right? I mean, I said Boulder, but like for you, it's broader than that. What is your community and what makes your community awesome?
Yeah, so I'm lucky enough to have been in Boulder, Colorado now for almost 8 years. And I've gone through many different communities here and still really good friends with all of them. And I listened to 2 of your podcasts with Kathy Butler and Adam. And I was a part of Kathy's team for, I think, like 6 to 8 months when I first moved here. Great person, great coach. Absolutely loved being part of the team. But currently I'm on this great community team called the Track Club. A very
perfect name. Perfect name.
A very like generic name, but we have like almost 50 runners on it of like varying degrees. We have, people who are just trying to break like 4 hours in the marathon. And then we have people who are like 209 marathoners. So we have this like huge range. And it's just fun to watch everybody have fun during practice. Other than that, I'm a sports massage therapist. So like I'm in the sports realm of like endurance sports here in Boulder, Colorado. So just meeting a lot of endurance athletes who are like, again, like Olympians to just amateur runners who just love getting out the door. And that's really fun, just helping people help their bodies to be able to perform every single day. Because sometimes, your body can be good and sometimes it can not be good. So
Hate you?
hate you. Feel like you've never run a step in your life, even though you have for the past like 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And then one of my favorite communities I'm a part of, it's called the Outrun group, which is we have a group in Boulder, like a sub team, but it's nationwide of all queer runners. So it's definitely great to connect with people who identify in the queer community, to get together to talk about what's happening through the world right now, and just be a good like bouncing board for just to chat about any problems or issues or things that we want to get a second opinion for.
Well, and I think that, kind of notches in right there for that first topic that I wanted to move towards, was this feeling of being welcomed within community, right? You talk about all of these different places that you were involved, and can definitely see with our current climate and just with the history around the queer community of being accepted in communities, and how difficult that can feel of being in a community, maybe not always being accepted, but then being in a community and feeling as though you were accepted. And so what's it been like for the variety of communities? I mean, you've got, your high school, your college, you've got all these, I mean, he sent me a list, and this is great because I love seeing, I talked about it with Joby, where it's, each and every club, each and every group offers something different. So for you, what has the journey been like of being yourself, being accepted, finding a place where you feel like you fit in? Because I know that's something that can be difficult, not just for queer people, but for anybody in running communities as well.
Yeah. First, I just want to thank you for allowing me to speak about it. I know sometimes it's a touchy subject, but
nah, man, go ahead.
No, it's great to be able to talk about it. But I grew up in like rural Pennsylvania Dutch country, where it's more like hush hush, and it's like not as accepted. And then when I went, but my family and my like friends group is super accepting and always have been. And I feel like we were the kind of like the outliers of my high school in particular. And then when I went to college, another small place in upstate Pennsylvania, or I guess central Pennsylvania, called Lock Haven University. And I feel like when you're still closeted, it's kind of a hard thing to transition to, because that's like the first time you're quote unquote an adult, even though you're still pretty young. So going through that, I loved all the 4.5 years I was there, but you're kind of still like protecting yourself and protecting like how you're protecting yourself, because you don't know what people are going to feel like or how they're going to accept you, especially in areas that are way more conservative than Boulder, Colorado. But then once I moved to Colorado after graduating college, coming to Colorado it's been, slowly, it's like an onion. Yeah. Like peeling away the like, barriers or the like walls I put up to help protect myself. And then, it's been 8 years of like slowly digging myself out of what I like built up around me. And it's been an amazing 8 years. I said on like the kind of like the little intro that I sent you, but I'm getting married in October, which is like super exciting. I met another professional cyclist. So we're kind of like, both have our very busy schedules, but we're not the same sport. So it's nice to like kind of get out of the running community a little bit and learn about something new, because I don't ever ride a bike. But Colorado has been great, especially like finding and joining the Outrun group. Having this community of people who, very like-minded, have gone through the struggles that I've gone through, and here to support you no matter what, even though like my
Yeah.
friends and my family do that as well. But it's nice to like also have the community of queer people to talk with at any time.
And I feel like, from what I see online, and
Hmm.
again, this is my experience of seeing it.
Hmm.
Boulder is a very open, very welcoming, very inclusive
Very
community.
open.
And you're going from, rural Pennsylvania, Lock Haven to Boulder. And I have to imagine sometime in there was when you came out and started
Yes.
telling friends, family,
Hmm.
broader community. So I'd love to explore that as part of
Yeah,
your running journey as well, because
totally.
one, I don't know when you came out, and so
Yeah, yeah.
I think when you came out might play a big role in that, of how you experienced community. Because it, just listening to you, it sounds like you came out more as an adult, as you're growing older and
Hmm.
wiser, and stop trying to not make as many mistakes and do
Yeah,
stupid things.
yeah.
So
Exactly.
for you, what was that like coming out in adulthood? And then what was that also like going into the running community and being a part of the running community? I think we can also see, not just like, it's not just rural Pennsylvania, but I think we can see, a lot of the toxicity in the community,
Hmm.
in the running community, where it continues to exist. You need to look exactly like this. And I've talked about that in terms of race. I've talked about that in terms of, well, unfortunately, I haven't talked about it in terms of gender, but, I'm always here for
Hmm.
anybody. But what was it like for you doing that, coming out, and also just coming out, and what it was like in the running community, how you were received, what that looked like for you?
Yeah. So I came out in the end of 2019. And this is like my the way how the way I got more confidence in coming out was I went to this very small massage therapy school in Boulder, Colorado, and very non-traditional, um, like not cookie cutter, not collegey massage therapy school. Because that's the career path that at that point I wanted to take to help people. Um, I didn't want to go back to school for physical therapy or occupational therapy because that was like, another 4 to 6 years. And I was like, I don't have the time or money to do that. But at that time, my running coach was also a massage therapist, and he would bring his portable massage table to practice, and he would give us like a 5 minute quick massage before practice to help us. And I was like, oh, this is cool. This is like, kind of similar without the 4 to 6 years of school. Anyways, that's a kind of a backstory. But anyway, so I was in this massage school, and it's a very Boulder holistic school. And every day we would kind of dive deep into our person and each other's
Mm-hmm.
persons and ask a lot of deep questions, because for you to understand the human body and like understand how people are holding their trauma and hold it in like because it can be held in like different parts of your body, like muscles and whatever, you had to learn about yourself. And through this like 10-month journey of massage therapy school, and at least a couple times a week we have classmates who are talking through their life stuff, and you're crying and you're like with these random strangers who become family at the end of school. But I was like, oh my gosh, like this is kind of crazy. Like everybody is like open to expressing themselves with complete strangers. I'm like, maybe I need to start like fully taking down those barriers that I built. And then yeah, by
Mm.
the within those 10 months of my massage therapy school is like when I came out to my family, and then started slowly telling all my friends. But everybody knows before you tell them. So like your family's like, yeah, I kind of
Yeah.
figured. We had like the intuition that you might be like queer, but we're like, we just have to wait until you feel comfortable telling us, which is great.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh man, I'm terrible at
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah,
I never know. I'm
yeah,
just like
yeah,
oblivious to all of it. Um,
yeah.
it, and I think about what that looks like when you're involved in the running community as well,
Hmm.
because there is a sense that being in community with other folks is, for folks who haven't listened, go back and listen to the episode with Joby. And he really talks about being fully present in community means being your most authentic self.
Exactly.
Right. And I think that I know there's a lot to that. But sometimes it's easier for some of us to be our most authentic selves in community because of who we are. And so as you're exploring teams, as you're exploring groups, as you're running with other folks, even as you're in college, and you're running with those teams, what was that experience like for you on both ends of that spectrum?
Yeah, definitely. Like, when I was in college, I was definitely like scared to come out, not scared that any physical or harm was going to be done to me, though hearing some of my teammates, and I don't want to make excuses for them, but you have individuals who have probably never been told no in their life, or like have had people tell them that like what they're saying is not correct. And being like the scared freshman on the team, like who, was closeted, didn't want to like stand up to the seniors at that point. I didn't really like find my voice yet. And now if anybody says stuff like that, I was like, yeah, no, that's in the past. Like, we're not doing that. So I feel like I was always on edge, making sure I was like, saying the right things and like speaking as though I wasn't going to say anything like quote unquote like gay or something. You're just trying to like be the most like straight person. But then, as like the years went by, like we had, I feel like, different like when I was a senior, the freshmen coming in were more accepting. And I was like, okay, like it seems like the younger generation is molding to like being more accepting. And then graduating and then moving to Colorado. It's been great, especially like when you run. I feel like a lot of times you feel a lot of emotions, and the more emotional you are going into a run, probably the worse it's going to be. So then having this like the freeing moment where I don't feel like this anxiety of like holding something in for many, many years has been pretty freeing. And then like, I know like, like going to therapy and like just talking with more friends and family, like that, like kind of like dark feeling is not there anymore. And honestly, I've been running the best I've ever have. And I think it's just like having this like freeing moment of like not hiding anything and like being super transparent with myself and with everybody else. And everybody in the running community has been like super accepting. Like at no point with like any of the teams that I've been a part of in Boulder, Colorado, have I felt like less than anybody. And all these people in Colorado have been great. And if it was a team that I didn't feel comfortable on, like I would just leave. And the teams that I have left have not been because of I felt uncomfortable or like felt unsafe. I just needed something different, and it takes a lot of trial and error. And then finally have found a team that's like all over pretty perfect. So and even like
go ahead.
I was gonna say, even just like going to races and like, not that I have like this big social media presence, even though I'm trying to get more vocal on it about like where I stand with everything. I know I know and have met a lot of like queer runners who we kind of like find each other at races and just chat and talk and hang out before, a little bit during, and then after. But it's a great community. I've never felt attacked or anything like that during races.
Well, and how much of that, outrun experience has been grounding yourself in, we're here, like, stop ignoring that we exist. Like, you cannot ignore that we exist, but also just that communal sense of, hey, Alex, I can do this. You can do this. How much of that is in your heart, giving you hope that other athletes who identify as queer have a place where they feel comfortable in the running community?
Yeah, honestly, it's been great joining these group runs. I think a little over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. It's just, yeah, it's been great. It's been eye opening because like again, until you start chatting with other people and seeing like how their experiences are, and a lot of the individuals in this Outrun group are in their PhD programs, are in their like uh they become doctors of their field, and they're struggling with trying to make it into like not just the running community but also their professional community. So it's been eye opening with that, just hearing other people and their struggles, but then also their attitudes of like, yeah, we're here. You're not gonna take us away. So like, you better get used to it. And like, we're a group of people who are like equally, like well educated, and like, there's nothing like different about us. So like, it's been to me like very humbling and very great to just see everybody like excelling individually, while also like trying to fight for rights, especially like during this time right now, and having these budget cuts and taking away like the T and LGBTQ on different websites and stuff like that, just trying to fight for what's right. So it's been great doing that, even like when I cannot make like a protest or make a meeting or something. It's nice to like hear the feedback of other individuals in this group who have gone and have like protested loudly, and respectfully, to make sure that they're being heard, and making sure that like for the future that we still have a platform.
Yeah. And as an important part of being community together, how much do you find that the act of running, the act of participating in running, on going on runs, on joining group runs, not just with Outrun, but with other groups, is there a part of you that also attaches that action to an act of social protest?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Meeting people. You're getting people together, who are very like-minded. And you get to meet new people. The team that I'm a part of, the track club, they started this Wednesday run called Soft Hour. And Soft Hour, it's like you're running on soft surface and a softer pace. So pretty much everybody in the community has somebody to run with in a group. Yeah, and it's just nice meeting people, and it's very empowering to hear everybody's story. And I feel like when you're running, it's very easy to vent to people and just like talk. And even if you're like brand new and like you don't know anybody, I feel like everybody there is willing to listen and willing to like give feedback, and just like, yeah, just be a person to like, for you to like bounce ideas off and stuff like that. Yeah, I've met so many new people who I've only met once, and maybe like their schedules are very busy that they can't come to a 7 a.m. practice in Boulder if they live in like another town somewhere else. But yeah, I feel like with running, it's this amazing community of people who are there to have fun. And yeah, it's a big community. It's a very welcoming community, especially like because everybody's there to run. Everybody's running. It's not like professional football where it's like the smallest percentage of people can do it.
Yeah.
We all do it because it's amazing, and you can meet so many people. It's been really cool seeing, these like communities of like running groups pop up literally everywhere. Like
literally
every town, every city, every town has 15 run clubs. It's been really cool. So I think especially like with Outrun, seeing little pods pop up around the country have been great. And the individuals who like lead these groups and who have started this, it's great seeing them like feel joy that more are popping up everywhere. But yeah, I haven't met or seen really any like negative person joining these run groups or run clubs. Maybe they're just a little cranky because it's like in the morning, but like once you get through the run, it's everybody's like pretty happy. So
yeah, and I mean, I often think about it that sometimes, humanity is like our greatest gift. Like it's the thing that we are. It's ultimately what we are, who we are. And to me, when we are able to show up as ourselves, as who we truly are, and present that and say, you can't do anything else. Like you can't do anything. But like you said, also, it's not just me showing up, but it's also giving the space for others to show up as well. And what that means for community, both within us, like, so for you, that Boulder community, Boulder, and even like the more general Colorado community. But, you also talk about your experiences in racing and going to all of these marathons and going to all of these races and, talking about the amazing support, the amazing people that you're meeting.
Exactly.
I'm guessing you're one of those runners at the starting line, just introducing yourself to everybody in the corral and everything. So this is kind of one question that I often love to ask some folks is where does that energy come from? Like where does that come from for you to want to be, that interactive person, that person who's getting out, that person who's meeting people, basically being a part of that community in that way?
Yeah, I feel like I've always been a pretty approachable person, and like I love meeting people. I think I get that from my mom. Like, middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, my mom just like meets random people and talks to them in grocery stores. And I'm like, at some points when you're younger, you're like, oh my gosh, like, come on, like this is taking too long. Like we need to go. But now I like really love that. I learned that from my mom to like meet new people and, you're all sharing the same experience. Like a marathon or literally any race in general is hard. No matter if you're like what pace you're running. But you're all there with like a common goal to finish and to enjoy it. So I think just like initially you meet people because like you're all ready to like hurt, but like it's nice to hurt with other people. So yeah, at the starting line, you're just like you're looking around, you're like, hey, like what do you think you're gonna run? Oh, you're gonna run that? Okay, I'm gonna be kind of close to you. So maybe we should like link up. And then like maybe you don't finish together, but you see each other at the end. And then for the next couple hours, you're like walking around and getting food and drinks with them, with these like total strangers who you just met during the start line. So it's pretty cool.
And how much of this journey, because you've run everything from the 400, which God bless,
yeah.
To the marathon. What's it been like for you over your lifetime developing as a runner? Because you talked early on about your journey coming out of discovering who you are, discovering more about your body. And I think that for a lot of runners, they can empathize with that, knowing that a lot of running is about discovering quote unquote what you're made of, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And what it looks like. So what has your run journey been like from that scale? 400, like dead sprint. Yeah. Coaches like just run as fast as you can until you can't run anymore.
Yeah.
All the way up to a marathon, and being able to balance that as you've grown and as you've shifted from high school, college, now young semi-professional, 219 marathon. Holy cow, you're almost there at DOTQ.
Yeah, it's been great. So when I started running, I absolutely hated it. And that's why I chose the 400, 800 because like it's a short,
why?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I knew I wasn't fast enough to be like 100, 200 meter runner. So I was like, let me just pick something a little bit longer, but less than like a mile and less than like a 3,200, like 2 mile that you run in high school. But it was funny because like my friends and I who like did the 400, 800, we were like, run off campus at high school, walk and not run and then come back to campus and be like, oh yeah, we just ran for like 40 minutes. I don't know. Um, but then like I knew I wanted to run in college, but I knew I wasn't like fast enough to like get a scholarship or anything like that. So I walked on to my college's cross country and track team, and uh, I think just being like naive and just trying to go with the flow. Cross country seasons first, and when you go to college, it's an 8K, and then eventually gets to a 10K if you make it to the region national championship. But freshman year, I did pretty well, like racing 8Ks, and I was like, huh, this is weird. Like, how am I enjoying this when I was like, didn't really like it that much in high school? And then my coach started believing in me more, and he's like, you know what, we're gonna put you in like the 5K and 10K for track. And I was like, that's so many laps compared to what I used to do. I don't know if I want to do that. And then I did my first one and it went pretty well. So I was like, I guess I'm climbing the ladder of in distance. And then did pretty well, made a few like national championships in college for cross country with our team. And then moving to Colorado, I was like, I'm going to stick with 5Ks and 10Ks. And then when you get here, you get even more humbled because everybody's so fast. And you're like, wow, my measly times don't really mean anything right now. But that's the best thing about the running community is like, everybody's just out there running and they're just doing their best. So you can't really be like down on yourself with like your specific like race time. And then just kept adding distance to my races, and then eventually made it to a marathon. And just having like coaches and friends and teammates just like cheer you on and be like, yeah, like you should give this a try. Like you should, I mean, you'll probably be pretty good at it. And then after you get done with your race, and they're like, yeah, I told you so. But yeah, it's been a fun journey going from 400 meters in high school to a marathon post collegiately. And then, all of me and my friends just do this as like a hobby. So we have to like find time because I have a full-time job apart and 3 or 4 part-time jobs. So like finding time to run like before work, taking like an hour midday or something to do something else. And then in the evening, I'm like doubling because like, getting up to in marathon training, I'm doing 100 to 100 plus miles a week. So yeah, you have to really enjoy it to work a lot of hours during the day, and then also run a couple hours. So yeah, it's been great. But again, like I said before, like the running community just like loves racing for or getting these endorphins and reaching them and like getting this like kind of clarity. So yeah, it's been great just doing a lot of miles with a lot of people around here.
And it seems like, you've got a big year coming up. You talk about, getting married this fall. You talk about, just all of these jobs that you have, all this stuff that you do. So what does that balance look like for you? Because you also talk about wanting to get more involved in that advocacy space, wanting, and to say that, it sounds like you also have goals that you want to hit on the run as well. And so what's it looking like for you to balance so many of these things in your life?
Yeah, it's been hard. Also recently, my fiance and I rescued a puppy. So having many jobs and running, we decided that we could find some time to also look after a 12-week puppy and raise it. So it's been less sleep recently, but adding another life to our lives. It's been great. Our dog Simon is so cute, but yeah, like trying to find time. I feel like you have to really want, it, to keep becoming, or just the success of like PRing and stuff like that. And, not every race is going to be a PR, but like, you set these lofty goals. So and you also spend a lot of money to like
Yeah.
get to these marathons and race entry fees and flights and stuff. Yeah, it like I don't want to um like half-ass do it. Like you have to really fully commit. And I think doing it since uh like freshman year in high school, you really find how to budget your day, especially like being an adult now, and like you don't have your parents to like push you out the door or like kind of force you to do things. It's really on us now to find the minutes in a day to like go out for a run. So yeah, it's been a lot of early mornings and like early mornings, like starting your run when it's still like dark out. And then like right when you clock out of work before maybe like doing something else, get another like little bit of a run in to like double for the day. And then learning how to like really recover and not do too much on the weekends, like after running. So yeah, you kind of have to like just stop and like look back and be what has been successful in the past with like running, and then trying to keep doing that in the future. Like, oh, like, yeah, on the weekends, like you run like I've run 18 to 20 some miles. So like you have to like eat and take a nap and
both necessities,
and relax. So it's finding a balance. And I feel like sometimes you get lost in it and don't do the necessary things to like recover, and then your body will eventually tell you that it's time to take a break. So yeah, I feel it's trial and error, and then you have people in your life who tell you that you need to take more time for yourself, and you're like, nah, I don't need to do that. And then like a week or two down the road, you're like, yeah, I probably should have listened to you, but here we are now.
And I have to imagine that as you're imagining what that balance looks like, that obviously goals, like we said, plays a big role in that. And so what sort of goals do you have for, the coming year? And what's that looking like for you, setting goals and helping to maybe identify some places where that balance can take place?
Yeah, so this year I made it a goal to not race a marathon. I've been racing marathons for 6 years, and they've gone well, and they also have not gone well. So I'm like, I need a little mental and physical reset from doing a marathon. So this year it's all about shorter distances. So yeah, the major goal this year was to not do a marathon, even though I love them, but it takes a lot out of your body. And yeah, so a couple goals this year are, we have this amazing race in Boulder, Colorado called the Boulder, which is, I think it's the country's biggest 10K. It's like almost 50,000 runners. It's like between like 43,000 and like 50,000 in like the past years. I don't, but my goal is always to break like 32 minutes at altitude, and this is a pretty hard course. So yeah, at one like the highest point of the race is at like 5,400 feet above sea level. So racing a hard 10K at altitude on a pretty gnarly course, a great goal is just finishing it. But like having like a more lofty goal, I've always been like hovering like right over 32 minutes. So going under 32 minutes would be great this year. Yeah, but it's a fun party. Like afterwards, people usually do a party lap, and that's when they'll do like slip and slides and dunk tanks and eat bacon and donuts and take shots and beer. And I'm like, yeah,
it's one of the 10Ks I have on my list.
Oh, it's great. You should definitely come out and do it. And it's an all day party because like the community races, are 6:55 a.m. to like noon, and then they have the pro race at the end where it's a looped course, and you get to watch the pros who are Olympians like Clayton Young and Connor Mance did it last year. So I mean, I never get to see them race because I'm minutes behind them, but 10 minutes behind them plus.
Yeah.
So seeing them like race right in your back door is pretty awesome because they're going so fast. And then we have like a lot of local Olympians, like Nell Rojas has done in the past, Lar Thweet, Sarah Vaughn, Sarah Hall has been here doing it. So, seeing these people who I see like daily in Boulder, but then also race the other Olympians and like elite pro women is really cool.
And to be able to, I mean, that's the thing about those like bigger races, like the really popular races that bring out a lot of those people is, again, like that diversity. Because one of the things that's always struck me about a race like Boulder is, you have the normal little peons. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. But like we run first and then we have time to finish. And then we sit, I think, isn't it at CU? Don't they open up the stadium?
Yep, it's in the football stadium. Yep.
Yeah. And then like everybody's like sitting in the football stadium and they've got the big, like they got the race on the Jumbotron.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like dead from the 10K and now they get to watch the professionals. And how much that's not like normal races where the pros finish in like 25 minutes and then I'm still slogging through at like 110. But I think about that, ability to be able to see other athletes do what you're doing. And athletes from, folks setting records to folks who are doing the dang thing and they're getting one foot in front of the other and they're doing it. For you, as you're thinking about, we've talked a lot about advocacy and not just in the queer community, but just about running community in general as well and looking broadly and all over. What are some of your hopes as an advocate for queer runners, for queer people in general in this time where it seems like every day there's a message that says, no men in women's sports or, this is anathema to everything we believe. What are you, what is your hope? What is your desire? Obviously it is a place that is welcoming and inclusive and, but what is your role in that?
Yeah, my hope is just that more people get empathy and are more accepting. It's really frustrating to see people in the queer community who are just trying to exist and speak their truth and be who they are. And they're being calm and being like approachable and like want to have a conversation. But then you have people, across the aisle who are screaming at them and like, just yelling like obscene things when we're just trying to like have a normal conversation. I just hope that more people become accepting, become understanding, and take a step back and be like, is this really something that you need to be concerned with in your daily life to like affect and like kind of hurt and bring down somebody else just because of how they identify and how they and like who they are. Cause like when somebody's saying that like, oh, this is not how you were born or like how you were raised. Well, I'm like, well, it's not a choice. So get over, like, you have to get over it because like, this is not going to, like, we're not changing. So like you have the option to change your viewpoint and change the tone that you're coming at us with. Because like we are very accepting people, so we're not coming at you with hostility. So we're just asking for you to not come at us with hostility.
I ask you to let me be a human being. Like one of my frustrations, like like letting people just be human beings, let them experience, because like it seems like a duh question, but and maybe you just give the duh answer. How I'm just going to ask it. How toxic is that for the nature of community? Right. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. Like how toxic is it for the nature of community?
It's very toxic. And it's unfortunately, you have these group of toxic people who like build off each other and make it more toxic for the other groups. And luckily, I'm very, very privileged to live in a place that is like a safe state for the queer community, and also with women's rights and women's health. So it's been, I haven't seen it like as much here, but like, I always have this kind of like knot in the back of my throat when I go back east and have to go through like farming communities or like more conservative areas. And I'm like, I hate feeling like I need to like kind of change to go back home. But because like I know there's going to be toxic people who are more prevalent in these areas. But I think over the years and becoming older, like if I need to have a conversation with somebody, or if somebody's yelling at me and I need to loudly talk back, I'm not going to be afraid to do it, because there's other people who don't get this opportunity to do that, and they are maybe still feel unsafe being like in their family or being in the community they're in. So other people have to just be loud for them. So there's a lot of toxic individuals, and you just have to be, you try to understand like why they're like this, but it's very hard to. So just coming at them in a calm manner is the best you can do. And you just hope that they will eventually maybe respect, or maybe not. They don't even have to respect you. They just have to like allow you to be there.
And for you, experiencing the running community, and you've talked about experiencing it as a very positive, as a very uplifting community. Have there been those times where you've wrestled with that, where it hasn't been as welcoming? And, what would you tell those who are listening of how we can be better?
Yeah. I think we can just be better by learning. Like just taking the time to like, talk to somebody, learn their perspective in a very like calm way. If somebody's, scared to come out or scared to go somewhere because of like knowing the history of like the beliefs that are there. We have this like big community of queer people, and reaching out to them and, helping to build up their confidence. And, if you need some help, like, all of us are ready to help at any moment. So, you just have to like use your resources, and, you can reach out to me. My Instagram handle is the running salamander. So, and there's like kind of a backstory to that, but, I'm open to talk to anybody. And if anybody wants to like, open to talk to anybody. If people want to send hateful things, that's totally fine. I'll just like respond back in a more positive way. But if people want to have like an actual genuine conversation, I'm also very open to that. With my busy day, I will find time to respond. So, I don't care if people have like negative views about me or my fiance or my community. Like, it's their problem, not mine. Cause like, I know how great this is. So, yeah.
And it brings up like just such a crucial thing in my thought process is, even when dealing with people who don't see eye to eye with you, in a lot of ways, sometimes there is that sense in which they see you, they understand you, there's an empathetic understanding, and then there's sort of that toxic relationship.
Yeah.
And it's not about, when they go low, we go high. It's when they go low, we just brush it off.
Let them, brush it off. Yeah. Like they, sometimes like they could have something going on in their life that we don't understand. And like, that's why they're spewing hateful things. So just trying to like understand them a little bit more could be beneficial, or having them just talk. And then eventually they could come out with like what's hurting them. So, and then you just try to like give them feedback, or just have a normal conversation with them.
And in my hope, that's something that builds up community, because I think one of the things that we look at is like, we talked a minute ago is like, I mean, it can be toxic for community, when there is that person who is, so steadfast, and even for me, it's like, I don't want to feel like I have to kick them out of community, because community is meant to be like welcoming and inclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
And there is a sense in which it also needs to be healthy. It needs to be uplifting for anybody who comes by. And I love that you kind of gave a word of hope and affirmation to, any queer siblings that might be out there that might be listening to this. Because in a lot of ways, they're in a lot of ways, in terms of, there's a lot of hate that's being spewed out there right now.
Yeah.
And for the running community to be able to come behind and say, we're people who want to be better people. What do you envision the future of an inclusive running community look like? Whether it's competitive, non-competitive, elite, sub-elite, hobby jogger. What are your hopes for an inclusive running community?
Yeah, my hopes are that we just keep progressing the way that we are. It seems like the running community nationwide is on the forefront of like a non-toxic place, where the sport of running historically is not as toxic as more like what do you call it? Contact sports like football and soccer and stuff like that, where quote unquote more masculinity is necessary, or what's where they see it's necessary. So I feel like the running community is progressing in the right direction. Races are getting bigger, which is good and bad, because more people are applying to them, and then 2% are being accepted. But it's great seeing people, millions of people joining the running community, because it's a very accepting and inviting and fun group of individuals. I think it's great. Like, and then seeing how everybody can express themselves, like, in running, like just all different types of communities, all different types of groups of people are expressing themselves through running, and can do that because it's a very visible sport. Especially like when you're racing New York City Marathon or Chicago Marathon, or any local race, like people are wearing their their home country's flags, or like the queer flag and stuff like that. It's a very, you can get your statement out, and you can show what subset community of the running community you are a part of. And I think that's pretty great. I think where running is going it's still progressing in the right direction, and it always has been. I think include like how inclusive running is a great thing, to have people have an outlet to like gain friends, gain community, and gain like a pretty fun hobby and profession. So
yeah. Well, and I think, like you said, being able to know that there are folks in the community who understand what you're going through, and that the opportunity for that conversation is there. It's ways like that. You're doing a long run. Sometimes you're out for like 2 or 3 hours. Like at some point in time, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
The sport kind of sets itself up for those, deep conversations. And, I love this, because I think it really comes to the heart of what running can be. A lot of sports, it's very much about a lot of sports like running, where it's an individual doing an individual sport. It's hard for the community sense to really flourish. But I think in this sort of, 2020s running boom, it has become a lot of like, okay, yeah, I'm an individual doing an individual sport, but like, I'm also going to like hook up with all these other individuals over here and like run with them. Yeah. And as a community, we can, push each other forward, raise everyone up.
Exactly.
I always use the example of, what was it, like 2022, the women's mile race, where Kip Yegon set the record, and like every single woman in that field either set like an area record or a personal best.
Yeah.
and when we bring that wholehearted nature to the running community and invite ourselves into that space, I wonder how much the entire community around us can be lifted up.
Yeah. And say like the race that you just talked about, but also all the races where you see, people like stumbling to the finish line of a marathon, and you have other people coming in to help them cross the line. Or you see at the Olympics, I think it was like Abby, I can't remember her last name, like in the 5K, she fell and tore ACL.
Oh, yeah,
and then, another competitor like helped them to the finish line. It's a very it's very warm and welcoming, and like everybody just wants to see everybody succeed. So, it's just a great part. It's a great community of people to be around,
and not letting those outside voices try and control it. Because I mean, you see it when you're scrolling on Instagram or Blue Sky, because no one gets on Twitter anymore. You see it as you scroll that it's like the people who might be commenting in the negative ways, like, do you know what this person's doing? Like, do you know anything about and so I think, that's why I love that point of like conversation, like have a conversation, invite yourself to learn more that's the only way we're going to gain, in my opinion, that's the only way we're going to gain empathy, is for us to understand, I'm straight. I'm heterosexual. I'm cisgender. I will never understand what it's like to be queer. I'll never understand what it's like to be trans. I'll never understand what it's like to be Black, Hispanic, anything like that. But I definitely feel like the more I can have conversations like this, like, conversations with Joe and Lance about racism in Detroit, like Joby with his immigration stuff, the more conversations we can have like this, the more we learn. And it's like, man, like I really feel deeply about what it means, because we want to see community be better. We want to see it grow and be stronger, because we're stronger together. And I definitely see that. And we can get the best out of each other when we're stronger, right?
Totally. Yeah. Just helping people along. It's great.
Yeah. So let's hit these end of podcast questions, and let's learn a little bit more. So while also boasting, is that 2:19? Is that your PR?
That is my PR. Yep. It's from Grandma's Marathon, which if anybody has not run Grandma's Marathon, I highly suggest it. It's a great race in Duluth, Minnesota. It's one of the most beautiful races I've ever run.
Yeah. All right. So let's hit these end of podcast questions. Speed run or long run?
Long run.
Morning or evening runs?
Morning.
Okay. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Yeah. All right. I feel like in Colorado, summer's probably nicer than it is here in Virginia.
Yeah. There's no humidity. It's great.
What is that like?
It's, you don't keep sweating after you're done running. After you shower, you're done sweating. You're done. Yeah. You're not like sticky all the time. It's great. It's nice and it's dry. You have to hydrate a lot, but yeah, it's great having no humidity.
You hear that, Virginians? Heaven does exist.
Yeah.
What do you listen to while you run?
I don't listen to music.
Okay. All right. Get that a lot, actually.
If I do, I'm I don't not listen to music. I'll listen to music rarely.
Okay.
But if I need like a little motivation to go out the door, I'm listening to some sort of like club EDM music, something that's like a high beat to motivate me to go a little bit to go. Yeah. Or just like typical Broadway show music stuff. Yeah.
Nice. Favorite distance to race?
I like the 10-mile race.
Okay.
It hurts, but then you don't have to do that last 5K to finish a half marathon.
Keep on getting recommended for 10 milers. I think it's getting closer once I'm healed.
Yeah, 10 miles are great. Like Broad Street in Philly is great. Was it Peachtree? Is a 10-mile race?
That's a 10K. Cherry Blossom.
Cherry Blossom. That's
Cherry Blossom.
Yeah. I think a 10-mile is a great distance.
All right. And finally, Alex, can you give our listeners a reason to join their local run club or group?
Yeah. You need to join the local run groups or clubs just because of the community of people who are there. Very inviting. Sometimes you get a freebie. I don't know. That's fun. But yeah, making new friends is great. It can also get you out of your like comfort zone sometimes, which is good to like help yourself. Running with friends is great to vent and to get a little therapy session. Everybody needs to like release their thoughts and inner monologue sometimes. So yeah, it's great. It's a great community. Most running stores will have a weekly run club. So doing those is great to look into. But also just like, on social media, finding groups of people who run together is also great. Cause it's very motivational as well to help get out the door at like in the morning before work or, after work runs.
Yeah.
When you're not motivated, or it's like harder to get out the door. So yeah, it's everybody needs to experience a run club at least once and see how it can change you.
There you go. You heard it from Alex. Get on out there. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
I really hope that this episode pushed you just a little bit. I know I am not afraid. I do not shy away from some of these more divisive seeming topics. I am willing to talk about how the running community can be an example for our greater community, how we can break down those barriers that have seemingly been made almost from nothing, and come together knowing that what we are accomplishing is movement. What we are accomplishing is being together in community, enjoying one another's company, being there for one another, supporting one another on the journey. And so I don't shy away from conversations like these. And it was such a joy to have Alex on, to have him come on and talk about his experiences in the running community, what it has been like for him as a kid, as a grown-up, what it was like for him coming out and all of those different things. And what a journey for us to hear as we continue to learn about how we can be community for one another. I want to thank you again so much for joining the podcast, coming in and being open to listening to this kind of conversation. I love, again, having these kinds of conversations. And if this conversation was really opening for you and you want to go back and listen, he talked about Alex and Kathy, who were both been on the podcast previously. And while you're there, make sure follow and subscribe on this podcast on your favorite listening platform. I have a list of all of them on runbuildgrow.com. And make sure that those new episodes just pop right into your feed. Also, if you are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I invite you to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Drop a comment in the episode on Spotify. These help me see what is resonating with you, what you're loving about these episodes. Also, it helps others know what you love about these episodes, what is bringing you back to this episode over and over and over again. And so I love for you to leave those comments, leave those reviews. And lastly, just a couple of other ways that you can help to support my work. You can head on over to runandrev.com. That is my Substack. That is where I'm publishing and posting most regularly. I am currently in the midst of a Lent on the Run writing series where I am offering daily devotionals for runners. As we all grow in faith again, I am the Run and Rev. I love to engage these conversations of faith and spirituality. And even if you don't have a faith, even if you just consider yourself spiritual, I am here for that. Know that I am a place that can have those discussions, can unpack things. I am not going to try and throw the gospel at you, try and force you to believe, but love having these open and honest conversations about these things. And so you want to head on over to my Substack, subscribe. You can support also by becoming a paid subscriber over on Substack or by supporting me on Buy Me a Coffee at buymeacoffee.com/runandrev. This is a great way to support because it helps me to make sure that for lack of a better phrase, I can keep the lights on here at the Run and Rev, keep this space on. And if you're looking for a running coach, I offer that as well. I want to give a shout out to Ray Girard, a good friend from down here in the Hampton Roads area, doing an amazing thing with the Rookie Runners podcast. Go check it out on YouTube. Dropping a tip on Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you, Ray, for the coffee. It was delicious. And y'all, as we go forth, let's remember, crush those runs and make every mile count.